Have you ever wanted to make a Ditto plush of your own? Now you can! To do this project, you'll need some scissors, fabric marker and fabric paint, needle and thread, and some fabric! To start out, take your two pieces of fabric and cut them into a dignified looking blob. Keep in mind, Ditto can be anything you want, so you can make it whatever blob you choose. Next, you will need to get your thread out. Normally you would use thread that is the same color as the fabric, but in this case I'm going to use black so you can see what I'm doing. You cut off maybe about 2 feet or so. It really depends on your project. And then you tie a knot in the end of it, just a really simple basic knot. Keep tying knots until you have a good little lump on the end of your string. That way it will stay through the fabric. Cut off the tip and then thread your needle. Now to actually start the sewing. After you thread your needle, and you have a nice good length like that, you go down to the bottom of your plushie, and you put your needle through it maybe about 1 millimeter from the edge of it. You can do a bit more if you're a bit scared of sewing for the first time. See how I did that? See that? Then you put the needle through right next to the one you did before, and pull the thread all the way through. This is basically all sewing is. You put your needle right next to the spot where you put it in before and pull the thread through. That way you attach both sides of your 2 pieces of fabric. This keeps them together throughout the whole process. Just keep repeating this over and over and over again. It really is quite tedious when you just sit here and you watch it. But see how I did it maybe about 1 millimeter away from it or so? It's really not too difficult. If this is your first time sewing, you might have a bit of trouble keeping your stitches straight, but that's okay. We are all here for experimentation and just having fun. Even if your Ditto looks a little weird, it's your Ditto, and it's going to love you anyway, because it's a plush, and it really has no other choice in the matter. I would say just keep watching a bit, get the good gist of it. Now you can see I've done a little bit or so. Yeah, you're going to be basically doing this depending on the size you for another like 20 minutes. So let's go ahead and speed up the entire process until we can get to the part where you stuff the plush. Big note, do not sew the entire thing shut. You're going to need to leave a space at the bottom of your plush, maybe about 1 inch or so depending on how big you want to make your Ditto. So that way you can have space to actually stuff it, because if you close the whole thing up, you're done. You just have a coaster for your mug or something because you have not been able to stuff your Ditto. So see how you leave just a little inch right there? Yeah, that's it. That way we can turn it inside out and stuff it so it doesn't look like crap. Now what you're going to do is you take your thread through, but don't put it all the way through. Leave a loop. Then put your needle through the loop you just made and pull that tight, just like that. That way, when you turn it inside out, your seams don't come out. So now we get to the fun part. We get to stuff the little bugger. First, you gotta turn the plush right side out. So just turn it inside out, just like you would a day-old sock. And then you can proceed to stuffing the little bugger. See how much nicer that looks compared to the inside-out version? You can use a blunt instrument if you have some trouble getting the small bits through. Do not use a sharp one. That could potentially go through the sides of your plush. So take that stuffing that I showed you earlier, and stuff the little bugger. Just fill him up until he is the desired firmness that you want. You can even use your blunt instrument again to get all the stuff through. You can make him really squishy and cuddly, or you can make him really fat. It's really all up to you. I think we should fast forward a bit again. Let's do so! Yay! Fast forward editing. Magic. Now, this is the part that intimidates most people when it comes to plushing. The most common question I get is, how do you close a plush when you're done? Well, it's really not that hard. All you do is you take your thread, put it through the fabric again, just like this, put it through. Now, instead of going through right next to where you put it, loop it over and put it on the other side, just like that. That way you create more of a loop. You continue doing this. Believe me, it looks a lot nicer when you use thread that's the same color as the fabric. And just keep doing that until you finish stitching it. When you get to the end of it, make a loop again with your thread as you push the needle through. And then take the needle and put it through that loop again. Do that a couple more times, maybe, and then don't be afraid if you get knots. Knots happen. Then put it through the fabric and cut. There you go. You're all done sewing. Look at that pretty little thing. The next part is doing the face. The face is super easy. Take your fabric marker or pen, or paint, I mean, and draw a face. There you go. Your Ditto, when the paint comes out, will be all done. Ta-da!